So today we're talking about my strange habit that so far I have never found anyone else who can do it. And it's not like the word habit makes it sound like I choose to do it, and I don't. I feel like God made me this way. It's just kind of something that I've realized that I do. So what is it? Basically, I am able to not consciously, so subconsciously filter through which feelings I feel. And most of the time the feelings that I choose or whatever end up not feeling are ones that are not only negative, but also ones that are because of a situation that is totally outside of my control and I can't change it. The closest thing that I've read about to this is compartmentalizing, which is basically where you choose to kind of turn off an emotion for a time so that you can figure the rest of your life out and then deal with that problem and feeling later. But again, this is something I do subconsciously. I don't even really, sometimes I don't even feel upset. I don't even know I'm upset. Sometimes the only way that I know I'm upset is because I have a dream and it makes it very clear how I feel. But in my conscious state, I don't think to myself, oh, you can't fix it, so try your best to stop feeling sad about it. And when I do realize I have these feelings, it's kind of I see the feeling at a distance. And it's I acknowledge it's there and I realize that I feel this way, but I don't actually feel that way. I just see it and I know it's present. And I don't ever consciously put it far from myself. It's just never close to me in a feeling type of way. Some examples of this is right after high school, I moved to Texas to be closer to my boyfriend, now husband. And I didn't really, obviously I love my family and stuff. And I knew in my head, I love them and it's going to be hard. But the way that most of the time for me, I know that I love people in the feeling sense, beyond the duty type of love or whatever you want to call it, is because I miss them. And so it's kind of a secondary feeling. And then another example of this habit or whatever you want to call it is I have an estranged relative, and I know that if they weren't estranged, my life would be a lot different. And it would be, I kind of can envision this gap in my life, a cavern where they're supposed to be and their family is supposed to be, but it's just empty. And have I cried about it? No. Am I super depressed about it? No. But I had a dream that this person and another relative got in a fight, and I was crying and yelling at them in the dream, and then I wake up and it's not like I'm crying after the dream, and I've realized I have these feelings. It's subconscious. And in general, I would say I'm not your typical female or neurotypical even. I generally address sadness from the point of okay, why am I sad? Let's solve the problem. And it really never gets to where I just sit there crying usually. So I'm pretty analytical and logical about how I go about feelings that I actually am conscious and aware of and do feel. So I genuinely want to know if there's anyone out there who can relate to this. I've never met anybody. It's not we talk about this stuff to everybody we meet either, but I just have never met someone who does this. Another aspect, I don't know if this would be helpful information, but another thing that I've noticed most people do is they make negative assumptions about whatever. Most of the time what people think of them are okay, they did this action, therefore they feel this way about me. And it's usually a negative assumption, which boggles my mind. If you're gonna assume something, assume the best, but that doesn't happen. So in my case, I don't do that. If I do start to wonder, I catch it, I'm aware of it, and I'm maybe they just had diarrhea that day or they're having a bad day. I try not to make it about me, especially in a negative way. I mean, if it's obvious and I'm being a jerk or something, that's a little different. But yeah, I don't make negative assumptions. And if I think that maybe a negative assumption that I have thought of is accurate, then I try to ask the person to verify, because there's no point in living in a reality that's negative and also not the truth. And my dad has Asperger's. I do not. I've taken a test. I failed it. I don't have it. But I think I have learned, and just like, you know, being around my dad, picked up on habits and different things that he does. So I definitely think that influences the way that I address feelings and people. And some of it's good, some of it's bad. Oh, and another thing, I feel like people would say like, oh, it's like suppressed emotion and you white knuckle, you know, your way through it, and you just don't express your emotions and just try to ignore them. And sure, I can see how you would say that, but I don't think that's the case, because when I do have a dream and realize that I have this emotion, it's not like I break down crying with the realization and I'm overwhelmed and, oh, I must express it now, and I also don't, like, you know, purposefully, oh, try not to cry now. I just don't feel it. I don't have it. I don't know. Maybe I'm broken. I don't know. This may also be helpful to you to know. I'm sure you guys are gonna, I don't know, you're gonna self-diagnose me, which is fine. I don't know what's going on. But I basically don't really think I have trauma, and in today's world that's really rare. If that is true, I realize people can go through things that they actually like mentally block out, and you don't know till you start having flashbacks or something, and that could possibly happen to me in the future. I mean, I come from a good home with no abuse to my knowledge, and my parents loved each other and are still together, and they're not perfect, but neither am I. I guess, long story short, I don't really think this is a trauma response or some sort of coping mechanism. Maybe it is, and it's like an actual thing. I just haven't found it yet. That's why I'm talking to you, because I don't know. If you know what this habit is, or you do it, or can relate, please comment below. I'd like to know your thoughts. I'm just searching for answers a little bit. I'm just curious. It's not like a big deal. I'm not out here saying like, I need fixing, because I'm actually very grateful for this ability that God has given me, and the ability not to make negative assumptions about the way people feel about me, because, you know, if we cannot fix problems that give us negative emotions, then I would prefer not to feel it, you know? And there's no reason to go around just being sad, basically for no reason. Like, obviously there's a reason, but the function of being sad and crying and feeling the sadness is pointless sometimes, I guess, in my brain, because it doesn't actually fix the problem, doesn't motivate you to do anything, because a lot of problems in life are out of your control. So if I can continue through life like not feeling that type of thing, that's great. And I guess maybe if you are someone who does get overwhelmed with negative emotions a lot of the time, I'd really encourage you to take a second to not, like, crying is good and it obviously relieves stress and all that stuff, but take a second also to think about like the problem, and maybe you could fix it, or what could you do to alleviate the stress you're under. And if you can't alleviate it, then maybe you shouldn't blame yourself, and maybe your sad feelings are misplaced a little bit, and that's not, you know, gonna happen all the time. But I think that people do make bad situations about themselves unnecessarily. So I'd encourage you to at least look at your situation and genuinely consider maybe it's out of your control and it's not your fault, and you don't have to feel the way that you do. Okay, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the insight in the comments. You can follow and subscribe if you want to. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here, but that's okay. Our next video is going to be about... our next video is going to be about why I left behind 150,000 followers on TikTok, and just kind of why real life is better. Okay, catch you next video. Bye.